I feel like when we were defeated, early 70s, by the early 70s, we were defeated. I mean, my main thing was like, well, I want to figure out what happened, why. Because now it's been 30, 40 years. And like, people are like, if people were kind of receptive, then people are like so hands off now. And you're trying to tell them, just like me, I'm trying to tell folks in my community, the black community, man, they are putting all of us in concentration camps. They have flooded our communities with guns and drugs, and they got us killing each other. It's urgent, you know, but people are not really hearing. So I'm constantly trying to search, is there other ways to bring it?
Right.
You know? And so I'll get on and I'll Google, and I'll try to find out what other folks are doing. I found, man, I want to say it's White Buffalo something, but it's out in the Midwest U.S., and it's an indigenous group that's, their organizing incorporates historical trauma, you know, because they have already made a connection that in indigenous communities, the high rates of suicide, alcohol addiction, depression, even domestic violence is directly related to the conquest. You know, some of folks in the black community, maybe the more academic, are beginning to make that connection, even with what has happened to black folks and why black folks are not, you know, stepping forward to fight back. When I look at it like that, then it's like, okay, then we got to figure out some different ways to have those conversations or to message. But like when you talk about your frustration, it's important that you figure out some ways to deal with your spirit.
Right.
During the course of trying to figure out some more effective ways to do it. I try to deal with my spirit because it's a lot of wear and tear, it's a lot of frustration, because this is a new situation we're in. Folks who tried to present plans of revolution 100 years ago or whatever, that said if you follow this you can be free, that don't work. What the United States, Canada, and other Western empires have done is create a real unique form of oppression that has us participating at a high degree, and we got to figure out how to get us to break it, you know. And I'll tell you one thing, just a short example. 9/11 happens, I'm living in New York, and I was hoping that them towers coming down was the signal of the new revolution, you know, but it wasn't. But anyhow, we're trapped on some of the subway stations because nothing was moving. All the transportation shut down, the subways. So we're on the subways, on the platform, and people are just talking. And I'm in Brooklyn. So most of the folks on this platform, like 99%, are black. And one person is saying, oh, we got to get them terrorists. They're responsible for this. And everyone around is like, yeah, man, yeah, this is fucked up, you know, all that stuff. And I'm listening, and I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? You know, what does the hitting the towers got to do with black people? You know, so it wasn't until another revolutionary came onto the platform who I knew, and I'm telling him my frustration. He says, well, let's get in on the conversation. What I found that works, and not saying it's a universal thing, but is just to intervene in these type of discussions and to pose something else to get people to think about. So here we come, and I'm like, well, who says bin Laden is the enemy? And what makes you think that the media isn't lying? And wasn't you just complaining that Bush stole the election in Florida and all this stuff? We've been enslaved by this country. How do we forget? And when me and him start that conversation, those who was like nodding their head to him are now turning to us and say, well, yeah, you're right. You're right. And what I think is important is that we need to intervene more. But I think it would help also to learn how to intervene effectively. Now, we can come off as like, I know it all and I'm going to badger you with what I know. Or we can intervene in a way that actually opens up dialogue and gives people a chance not only to hear you, but you to hear them, and learn how to move that forward so that you both can come to kind of a collective consensus about what's really happening and what we can do. But to constantly remind people that this is the empire. This is their media. This empire has hurt people all around the world. You don't think nobody's going to attack them? You know, but from that same thing, I think that one of the things that, say, like present generations don't do is actually go into communities and have honest dialogues. Not preach, but dialogue. So that's back and forth, you know. And like with the Zapatistas, I mean, I think that it has to be dialogues that has a certain amount of humility from us, that we don't really know it all, that people in our communities know something too, you know. So it helps, but it helps to listen to people in our communities, because we need to understand what they're frightened of. It's not necessarily that they don't know what's going on, but it's that they're frightened. They don't see no point in doing anything because this monster is so ferocious and so awesome, you know, and we have to remind them that no, we can fight back. No, we can take over our neighborhood. No, we can develop this child care. You know, no, we can develop this independent school. You know, no, we can stop this family from being evicted from their apartment. You know, so it's like the things that we can do that is very local, that's very immediate, that gives people a sense of what we can do, but how it's all connected to this overriding empire over us. And that we eventually got to get to that, you know. But the other thing I want to tell you is even on the point. Oh man, I might forget it. I'm gonna blame this on old age. I'm 57. I'm getting there. There's readings that I'm doing now, and I got it around not only settler colonialism, but around historical trauma and social trauma. That's dealing with not only Australia, but Canada, United States, and it gets more into what's the psychological, emotional, and even spiritual impact of this empire on our communities. It helps to know, because in knowing, we sometimes get different ideas on what we might can do different, instead of just writing our communities off like, oh, they'll never come together. And then to be able to really look at our communities to see what are they doing already that shows certain levels of self-determination, certain levels of autonomy, and what can we do to help nurture those things as we try to help in our interactions create a larger consciousness, so that it deals with the roots of our problems, but also gives us a way to look at the future, you know, and to see that we can play powerful roles in them. And I mean, I know that's long, but even if you Google historical trauma, historical memory, intergenerational trauma, intergenerational memory, the settler colonialism stuff is like really, really good. But even if you hit in liberation psychology, you're going to see a lot of readings or a lot of works that people are doing from a more academic, but it's helpful and giving us some different ways that we might can organize to help people to be receptive to what we're trying to say.